What is this? The new Prime Minister of Canada? Is this that Pierre guy?
On the topic, I mean, in terms of your sort of strategy currently, you're obviously taking the populist pathway.
What does that mean?
Well, appealing to people's more emotional levels, I would guess. I mean, certainly you tap very strong ideological language quite frequently.
Like what?
Left wing, you know, this and that, right wing, you know, I mean, it's that type of ideological spectrum.
I never really talk about left or right.
Anyways, a lot of people
don't really believe in that.
Okay, a lot of
I like this guy. Yeah.
People would say that you're simply taking a page out of the Donald Trump book.
Like which people would say that?
Well, I'm sure.
I really like how people are calling out journalists so journalists do this thing where they say a lot of people are thinking this or a lot of people are saying this. And then whenever they mean that, they're not actually talking about a lot of people. They're talking about them. Yeah, it's extremely annoying. Like, yeah, hey, we're going to create this narrative, and now you have to address the narrative that we've just invented. Yeah, just don't play the game.
Great many Canadians, but...
Like who?
I don't know who, but...
Well, you're the one who asked the question, so
yeah.
You must know somebody.
Okay.
Okay.
I'm sure there's some out there, but anyways, the point of this question is, I mean, why should Canadians trust you with their vote, given, you know, not just the sort of ideological inclination in terms of taking the page out of Donald Trump's book, but
what are you
also
talking about? What page? What page? Can you give me a page? Give me the page. You keep saying
in terms of turning things quite dramatically in terms of Trudeau and the left wing and all of this. I mean, you make quite a, you know, it's quite a.
This is something that's extremely common with a lot of journalism, and it's also true with like emotional manipulation that happens on Twitter. Is that what they do? This guy, by the way, holy shit. This guy is just not... this guy's amazing. This is the first time I've ever heard him speak or say anything. I like this guy. Yeah, it's perfect. And so, like, what they end up doing is they create this idea that you have, like, you know, like, for example, nobody is ever right-wing. They're far-right.
Play that you make on it. So I'm
not sure. I don't know what your question is.
Okay, then forget that. Why should Canadians trust you with their vote?
Common sense.
Okay.
A minute and a half for one question. Sold.
Sense for a change. We're going to make common sense common in this country. We don't have any common sense in the current government. You know, the guy prints $600 billion, grows our money supply by 32% in 3 years. That's growing the money 8 times faster than the economy. No wonder we have the worst inflation in 4 decades. I'm going to cap spending, cut waste, so that we can balance the budget and bring down inflation and interest rates. You'll want to be able to pay your mortgage again? You want to be able to afford rent? Then you have to vote for Pierre Poilievre, because I'm the only one with a common sense plan that will bring back the buying power of your paycheck.
Man.
I rise today flabbergasted by the news that has just been made public. The government has finally revealed its true deficit number. Remember, this finance minister, this outgoing and now former finance minister,
this is it? Okay.
Told the world that she was putting in place guardrails to limit the damage that her deficits could do. Her deficit plan was $40 billion, a mind-bogglingly large number that was already contributing to rekindling
That's
inflation.
An assload of money.
Again, this $40 billion was too big. It was out of control as it was. But at least to her credit, she said no more than that.
It's Canadian
and she
dollars,
decided
it's like
she would have a
$60 here.
guardrail. We know a guardrail is meant to stop vehicles from flying off cliffs. Well, as she was trying throughout the year to avoid going off the cliff, there were 2 people on the bus who had other ideas. The Prime Minister and carbon Tax Carney. And the two of them went to the front of the bus, they grabbed the wheel, they pulled it sharply to the left, smashing into that guardrail, and she tried to resist. So they pulled even further to the left, and they stepped on the gas. The bus flew off the cliff, and now Canadians are at the bottom of the ravine in a big pile of debt. But instead of taking responsibility, the Prime Minister told her that she should take all the blame. That when the ambulances and the police cruisers arrived, and the fire department, that she take the blame for running the bus off the cliff, and that Carbon Tax Carney and the Prime Minister could innocently sit back, and that the Prime Minister could then put Carbon Tax Carney in charge of driving the next bus. The good old boys in the back room would protect themselves and make the Finance Minister, the then Finance Minister, take all the blame. Reminds you of the way they treated the former Attorney General, a brilliant and brave First Nations woman who refused to kowtow to corruption. It reminds us of the way they treated Jane Philpott and so many other brave women who have dared question this self-described...
So this is the guy that's like right-wing and like Donald Trump? I feel like this isn't...
feminist Prime Minister.
What?
Some feminist indeed. Throwing the bus off the cliff and throwing women under the bus.
They just say that
is
shit.
his
Yeah,
real
I guess
record.
so.
That his real record on finance, Mr. Speaker, is yet another $62 billion deficit. For context, outside of this government, there is no government in the history of Canada that has ever run a $62 billion deficit.
Jesus.
Not even in the 90s when the Wall Street Journal said that we were a third world basket case. Not even during the massive global economic crisis did the deficit come anywhere close to that. And here we are, with the global economy growing, with the American economy booming in stable times. This deficit is 100% at the feet of this irresponsible Prime Minister and his personal economic advisor, Carbon Tax Carney.
That's right.
Now, Carney says he doesn't even want the job of finance minister. He doesn't even want to try and drive the crashed out bus after he helped run it off the cliff.
Well,
and they couldn't find anyone all day. In fact, no one will appear today even to defend this incredible disaster of a budget. Look at the consequences in human terms, Mr. Speaker. We have 1,400 homeless camps in Ontario, 35 homeless encampments in Halifax alone. We have 2 million people lined up at food banks. Scurvy is making a comeback. The government admits that 1 in 4 children are going to school hungry every single day.
What the fuck is going on over there? Scurvy, yes. That's what pirates would get.
Employment is rising, and according to this budget, expected to exceed 7% by the end of next calendar year. The gap between per capita GDP in Canada and the U.S. is now 30,000 in Canadian dollars. 30,000, it was equal 10 years ago. This is the worst gap since at least the Second World War, and some say the worst gap in a century. Canadian workers are only getting 55 cents of investment for every dollar an American worker gets. $500 billion Canadian investment dollars, which works out to almost a quarter of our economy, has left net to go to the United States, where it builds pipelines, factories, warehouses, pipelines, business centers, Canadian investment dollars paying American wages, while our workers go starving for investment and for salaries to pay their bills. When I travel across this country, I consistently meet 2 types of people. One, those who are a little better off and tell me that, and I'll be very blunt about this, that if I don't win, they will leave the country. And they are very numerous.
Yes.
Damn.
But you know, I don't worry about them as much. You know who I worry about?
The people that can't leave?
The ones who can't leave.
Yeah, that's...
The
You knew he
ones
was
who
gonna say
don't
that.
know, and if I can just use very blunt language, who tell me I don't know what the hell I'm going to do. I have no
Man.
idea how I'm going to pay my way.
That's right.
I met a waitress at a restaurant not long ago, and she came up to me and she...
Is the cost of living in Canada that bad? Like, I heard in Toronto and Vancouver, it's like crazy, insanely bad. But like, I don't know about the rest of it. It's horrible. Oh my God. It's really bad here, man. Oh, wow. That's
grabbed me by the hand and she said, "You have to win."
We get paid in
And I
loonies
said, "Oh,
and
thank you. I
toonies?
appreciate your support."
Wait, loonies and toonies? Is this real? What? Is that what they call them? It's not that bad? Yes, it is. It's Looney Tunes. It's a cartoon. What do you mean? What does that convert to Neopet tokens or Monopoly money? What?
She said, "No,
What is this?
it wasn't a compliment. You have to win." And then she told me her story.
Uh-oh.
She told me that she was working one full-time job and two part-time jobs just to pay her bills. As a single woman in her late 50s.
Damn.
And she was tired of working all the time. So she cut everything out of her budget. Every creature comfort, everything she enjoyed about her life, she cut it out so that she could drop one of those part-time jobs. And then one morning, she woke up and she walked outside and her car was gone. And she called her
Where'd it go?
insurance and they said they weren't going to cover the replacement value.
No, I'm not going to say the name of the person. I'm not going to say who could have solved this, you know, like maybe she needs a plumber.
So she had to take that job back because she simply cannot live her life without a car.
Yeah.
Now you can bet your bottom dollar the guy who stole the car, he was probably out on bail. This was not his first job.
That's right.
What?
Her taxes have gone up. Her heating bill has gone up. Her wages have not gone up. She's scared to go out in the streets.
Wait, what? Auto theft here is unreal? We have the worst auto theft? Can you shoot somebody if they're stealing your car? Can you do that in Canada? No? Why not? What a fucking bunch of pussies. What the hell's wrong with y'all? What y'all doing over there? How you let this happen? So, I actually knew the answer to this. I realized it after I asked the question. It actually wasn't a rhetorical question. So there is, I know this might be a surprise, but there was a girl that I was talking to that lived in Canada. And she said that a guy almost tried to grab her and pull her into his car. Like, straight up. Just grab her, like, just, oh, there's one, right? Let's get him. And she doesn't even like to go out in public anymore. She doesn't want to have anything to do with that. It happens a lot, exactly. And she said that she cannot even have pepper spray, much less a gun. Let me guess, Vancouver? I don't remember, actually. I don't know. Yeah. What the fuck? Why? Yeah, that is insane. That's a lie? Really? I mean, I don't know. I don't know what the details are. That's what she told me. But she can't have a gun. Come on, this is bullshit. Well, let's look it up. Can you have pepper spray in Canada? Okay, so if you look at it right here, it says no, pepper spray is not legal in Canada. Pepper spray is considered a prohibited weapon under the Canadian Criminal Code and Firearms Act. That means it is illegal to own, make, sell, or use pepper spray in Canada. Okay, well, there we go. All right. Let's move on. That's crazy. So people are just stealing cars. They just steal cars.
In places where they didn't even lock the door not long ago. These are the people we're fighting for.
Yeah.
These silly games over here, they're very entertaining. The soap opera that everyone's seized with today, that's all fine. But there are real people whose lives are on the line here, and we have a duty to work for them.
Man.
And quite frankly,
I didn't know it was that bad.
this woman doesn't see me as any, or any of us as any kind of savior. They see us all as a last hope. In fact, she doesn't want to be saved. She just wants her life back.
It's worse than
She
you
was
think.
taking care of herself just fine before her tax, her heat, her grocery bill went through the roof and her car went missing. She was doing just fine. She was doing everything right. Met another guy at the Labrat Brewery a few days ago, and you can watch the video of me talking with him. He walked up to me and he said, I have 3 jobs and I can't make it. We're renting. We have no hope. We've given up on ever owning a home. We're renting. We can barely make it. And he said to me, I feel ashamed when I talk to my kids because they ask me why I'm never around and why we can never have a house. And I feel like a failure. But he didn't fail. He has been failed.
That's right.
He has been robbed of the promise of Canada. It was a very simple promise that if you worked hard, you got a good life. Now, it wasn't fancy or extravagant, but you got a house with a yard where you could have kids playing safely. And you could have a nice dog that you could afford to feed along with the kids.
It's crazy for me to see, like, on Twitter, people that try to rationalize us living with, like, basically criminals and people that are insane, and, like, effectively that everybody now has to worry and, like, watch their back. And it's like, this is somehow a good thing. It's way too, it's crazy. Yeah, like, especially with, like, the New York subway stuff. Like, I'm sorry, but, like, these crazy people, toxic empathy, it is. Well, well, the reason why it's really toxic is because these people are writing checks that other people need to cash. They're the people that never have to live with the consequences of their own empathy or their own altruism. So, like, they're doing something good. They're trying to push for this, but they never actually have to deal with this problem themselves.
And your kids could play safely in the streets. That was the promise. Now, politicians break promises all the time. But you know what was bad about this promise? This promise didn't belong to this prime minister. It wasn't his promise to break. It belonged to all of us. And our purpose is to bring home that promise for that young man, that young father,
so is this guy probably going to win?
Female worker, so that they can once again take back control of their lives, live in a safe country where their hard work earns them a good wage, where the rent and their food is affordable.
He'll be a much better governor.
And where, when they go to bed at night, they know that they will be safe throughout their sleep and that they will have their car in their driveway in the morning. A country where people are proud again to fly the flag, where they know the government is a servant and not a master, where they understand that every day the Commons, this place, works for the common people, not for the ego of one man desperate to cling on to his job. We must remember that we are servants in this place. We have a job to do on behalf of the people who sent us here. Our personal dramas are not important. The dramas that should seize all of our concern and imagination are the daily dramas of the working women and men that build this country. We are in it for them. We're going to give them back control of their lives in the freest country on earth, Canada. Let's bring it home.
All right. That was a good one. Yeah. Damn. Yeah, this guy's based. Yeah, I feel like I think that, like, there's a huge issue now of, like, a bunch of people that think that somehow it's noble or it's, like, good or high-minded to tolerate basic savage behavior. like stealing cars, pushing people into subways, into trains, like, you know, crackhead zombies running around that you can't look at them or you'll get aggro. Like, what is this? Why, who decided this is going to happen? This isn't culture. This is crazy. I don't get it, man. Lighting people on fire. Yeah, exactly. It's nuts. And yeah, I don't know what to say, man. Part and parcel of living in a big city. Yeah, I don't know how the fuck it's going to happen. I thought it was too good to be savage. Watch that Trudeau is finally leaving in your search. This, I mean, well, I feel like everybody's obviously happy about that. People, I'll watch this one. Yeah, sure. It's a fast one.
This morning, we want to bring you the reaction from the opposition leader, the Conservative leader, Pierre Poilievre. Right now, we mentioned a few moments ago that he did tweet, and in his words, there is no change. That is from his account posted on X. There was also a video posted as part of that post. Let's play it now.
Canadians desperate to turn the page on this dark chapter in our history might be relieved today that Justin Trudeau is finally leaving. But what has really changed? Every Liberal MP in power today and every potential Liberal leadership contender fighting for the top job helped Justin Trudeau break the country over the last 9 years. All Liberal politicians actively worked to pass into law the job-killing inflationary carbon tax, a tax that Carbon Tax Carney endorsed in his book. All supported a law quadrupling the tax over the next 5 years. All
so he's got, is this like the Canadian version of Lion Ted? Or like Crooked Hillary? The Carbon Tax Carney? That's there. Okay, cool.
Or actively supported Trudeau's out-of-control spending, debt, and immigration. All passed Trudeau's housing policies that doubled the cost of homes. All Liberal politicians helped pass catch-and-release bail and house arrest for the most rampant reoffenders. Policies that increased violent crime 50%, gun crime 116%.
How'd this happen?
And hate crime by 250%.
How'd they let this
Liberal
happen?
MPs and leadership contenders unanimously supported.
Yeah, like what is this? Are people just voting to feel good? They just voting to feel catch and release. Yeah, that's for fish, man. Yeah, you don't have catch and release for people. That's for fish. Damn. What is going on?
Everything Trudeau has done, why dump him now, right before an election? Have they had a change of heart? Is it because they feel guilty that they doubled housing costs, hiked taxes, unleashed crime, broke immigration, forced a quarter of the population into poverty?
God damn.
They continued supporting Trudeau when he did all of those things. No, their only objection is that he is no longer popular enough to win an election and keep them in power. They want to protect their pensions and paycheck by sweeping their hated leader under the rug months before an election to trick you and then do it all over again.
He's right.
Now, while
if I were them, that's what I'd do.
On saving their jobs and fighting each other for power, the country spirals out of control. An out-of-control housing emergency, an out-of-control migrant crisis, an out-of-control $62 billion deficit, not to mention tariff threats from the United States. Oh, and another NDP Liberal carbon tax hike kicks in this April 1st.
Wow.
Everything's out of control.
April Fool's Day.
And now the government is out of control. This cannot go on. We need a carbon tax election now to choose between the NDP Liberal costly coalition that taxes your food, punishes your work.
Laggy piece of shit is messed up. They invited a bunch of foreigners to come to the country and they screwed up our economy because they gave the citizens money to the foreigners. I feel like there's no way it's that simple though, right? Like, cause that's well, you know what they do. Like, there's no way, right? I mean, it is. I don't know. That seems crazy to me.
Doubles your housing costs and unleashes crime and drugs in your community. Or common sense conservatives who will axe the tax, build the homes, fix the budget, and stop the crime. Canadians can take back control of their lives and their country. Take back control of our border. Take back control of immigration. Take back control of spending, deficits, and inflation. Take back control of our streets by locking up criminals, banning drugs, treating addiction, and stopping gun smugglers. We'll cap spending, axe taxes, reward work, build homes, uphold family, stop crime, secure borders, rearm our forces, restore...
I think that's a really big difference that a lot of people need to understand, is that, like, a lot of people that are drug addicts or victims of addiction, and, like, in my opinion, I don't think you should be putting drug addicts in jail unless, like, they're a threat to the society, right? Like, these are people that are really, they need addiction therapy. They need to be, like, taken care of. But you need to put the people that are making the drugs in jail for sure. Yeah, it's two very different groups of people.
Our freedom and put Canada first, all with one mission: to bring home Canada's promise that every hardworking Canadian gets a powerful paycheck and pension that buys affordable food and homes on safe streets, where all are united for the country we know and love. Canada first, Canada last, Canada always. Let's bring it home.
Man, well, so this guy's gonna win. I wonder how things are going to change.